Hey there, welcome back to the DrumShed. We are continuing with our quick hit series today. And if you're new to the DrumShed and you're wondering what I mean by quick hits, basically that's a playlist I have here on YouTube or Rumble or wherever you're watching from, where I focus specifically on little topics, and they could be anything from how to play a particular song or just talking about a song or a genre of music to practice, tips, to drum beats or fills or patterns or rudiments or whatever it may be. Just little quick individual topics, and I'm just jumping on here to give you some of my thoughts on them. So anyway, that's what I mean by quick hits. Today's topic, in the last video in our quick hit series, I talked about, practice and, some things that helped me in developing practice time. And in that video, I think towards the end, I briefly mentioned something called active versus passive listening to music, meaning like listening to music. And I thought it would be good to maybe talk a little bit about that and what I mean by that. I did briefly describe it in that video, but I thought it'd be good to just have a standalone video to make it easier for people to access if they're interested in this topic. So what do I mean by those two things, active listening or passive listening? Passive listening to me is, when we listen to music for just pure enjoyment, maybe when we're in the car, we're hanging around the house, or you hear a song in a store and you kind of pay attention for a little bit, or you hear music in an elevator, wherever it may be, it's something you hear, either you enjoy it, and it's just something pleasant that you're hearing, or even you hear it and you don't like it, but the meaning behind it for me, passive listening, is there's no intent to study, there's no intent to analyze. It's just to maybe feel and enjoy, or just to have on in the background as just something that kind of makes life a little pleasant, maybe around the house or wherever you may be. Active listening. What do I mean by that? I learned these topics from teachers I had when I was in music school over the years, so this isn't something I came up with. I don't want to take credit for that, by the way. But active listening, what do I mean by that? That's, with the intent to analyze or to study. So with the intent to learn, right? That doesn't mean you have like sheet music on a music stand and you've got, a pencil and you're transcribing. It certainly does mean that, like it can mean that, but it doesn't mean that exclusively. Active listening could also just be you're at home, you're sitting on your couch, or you're sitting in your room and you're like, I want to learn this song, but I'm going to just sit here and listen and study and try to understand what's happening in the song, from all the musical elements that I can perceive or that I can understand. And if there are musical elements I don't understand, I'm going to try to acknowledge what those elements are, or at least what those feelings are that come up when I hear those things I may not understand in the song. All of my best instructors and teachers in my personal life talked about this. All of the greatest musicians I've ever, read interviews from, or books about, or listened to podcasts from, or heard talk in an interview, they all share this in common. They all spent an enormous amount of time actively listening to music. And so, why I think it's so important for students to think about this concept and implement it in their practice time, which is why I brought it up in the last quick hits video, is because it's, I think, the best way to learn how to learn how to play music. Learn how to music. But it's the best way. I mean, it's why we learn this awesome instrument of the drums, right? I imagine most of you, hopefully all of you, learn the drums because A, you love it, you think it's super cool, you like the sound of it, but B, because you want to play music, like you want to play along with records, with your favorite songs, and maybe even cooler, you want to play with other musicians. And maybe even cooler than that, you want to become a professional musician and play music for a living and or at least a hobbyist and play music on the weekends, play gigs and stuff like that for fun, as a side hustle or whatever. But in order to do that, we have to be studying the music, right? We have to be studying the genres that we're interested in playing. And yes, it's totally helpful and important to learn from a book, or from sheet music and you can think academically. Of course, that is incredibly helpful. But there's no teacher like the actual recording, or like going to an actual concert and seeing a band or an artist play, and really studying what you're hearing, not just what you're looking at on a paper or in an academic drum book. Those are amazing resources, but they're no substitute for actively listening and studying records. Some of the greatest drummers and musicians in the world don't know how to read and write music, but they spent an enormous amount of time listening to music, and they could start to transcribe it by their ear, which is developing their ear training. You might have heard some people talk about. And for drummers, ear training is super important too. It's not necessarily the exact same thing as maybe a vocalist or a guitarist or a keyboardist, for example, or any melodic harmonic instrument. It's not like how they necessarily would study ear training, because they're studying key signatures and pitches and scales and chords and all that stuff, harmony, melody. But for us as drummers, we still have to train our ear to understand all of the rhythms that we're hearing, right? The different subdivisions that are being used, but also the orchestration of the drum kit, like what parts of the drum set are being used in that groove, in that fill, during that transition, during a verse, chorus, or whatever. And also, understanding how to break down a form. That's similar to other instruments. Understanding the form of a song. Are there intros? Are there outros? Where's the bridge? How long is the bridge? How long are the verses and choruses? Are there pre-choruses, etc.? Are there instrumental sections? All of that can best be learned by listening to music, actively listening. So I just wanted to give you a quick little breakdown of what active listening is and why I think it's so important. Passive listening is awesome. It's for fun. It's I do it every day when I get in my car or when I'm on the subway with, headphones on, or I'm just hanging out with friends and family. There's always music on. Passive listening is in a lot of ways what fuels the excitement to want to go actively listen. But don't sleep on actively listening. Over the years, as an instructor myself, I've run into a lot of young drummers who, they're amazing in school and they're super bright, but they're used to that academic kind of textbook study. So they get the drum books, and those are, and again, I teach out of drum books. They're amazing, but I think they at first they have a hard time understanding that yes, the drum books are important and great resources, but they have a hard time making that leap into. But we have to study the song. We have to listen to the music, and I just can't stress that enough. So to connect to the last quick hits video. Actively listening should be a part of your practice time. It should be a part of your daily practice time. And, even if that means you don't pick up the sticks in that practice session or for the first half hour or 15 minutes or 10 minutes of that practice session, if you just sat there and actively listened to a piece of music that you love, a song, a band, a full concert, a full album, whatever it may be, and really studied what was going on, not just in the drums, but in the course of the form of the song, what's going on with the rhythm of the other instruments, studying what the bass player is doing. The connection between the drums and the bass is unbelievable. It's so important. And so these are things that you could be listening for when you're actively listening to music and studying music. So I can't stress that enough for you drum shedders out there. And that's it. That is today's quick hits video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions or you need me to elaborate further, please drop a comment below. I'll be happy to interact with you there. If I can answer your question in the comment section, I will. If your question requires, a follow-up video, always happy to do that, as I say all the time. If you like this video, hit the like button. Share it with other drummers or other musicians. Other musicians, I think, can benefit from this specific topic because, it's not just for drummers. Active, passive listening, that's for all instruments. So if you've got a friend or a family member who's studying an instrument and they're new, maybe share this with them if you enjoyed this video. And if this is the first time you've seen a video from us here at the DrumShed and you liked it, I would be so honored if you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you stay up to date on all the YouTube-y things that we've got going on here. And if you're on Rumble, just follow us there on Rumble. We would greatly appreciate your support there too. We love that platform, and all these videos are kind of going on both places. Anyway, thank you so much. And if you want to delve deeper into the drums, you might consider checking out my website, TheDrumShed.locals.com. That's where I post exclusive drum lessons, advanced technique stuff, all sorts of, more advanced patterns for the practice pad and, groove studies and genres and all that kind of stuff. And we've got a great community there of drummers just kind of cheering each other on. And some really exciting stuff coming this summer over on our locals website. So that's TheDrumShed.locals.com. If you like the stuff you see here on YouTube and Rumble, you might consider joining us over there. Those supporters are how I keep this thing going. And so I'm grateful for all of our local supporters. And I'm grateful for you. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you have a very blessed day. I'll see you soon.